Liverpool transfer news: Reds set limit for Alexander Isak amid Arne Slot fear. Alexander Isak is still a Newcastle player, ahead of Monday's 7 p.m. deadline, with Liverpool yet to submit a second offer after their opening bid of £110 million was rejected. With less than 48 hours of the summer transfer window remaining, the saga goes on. Alexander Isak remains a Newcastle player, but he hasn't been seen in black and white since May. Liverpool's bid of £110 million was rejected earlier this month, and the Reds are yet to improve on their offer. Currently training alone after missing the entirety of Newcastle's preseason and their opening 3 Premier League games, Isak remains adamant that he won't play for the Magpies again after holding fresh talks with club chiefs. But Isak isn't the only target who Liverpool have on their radar. A move for Marc Guehi is on the offing, with Crystal Palace open to selling the England international after he entered the final year of his contract. The Reds' summer spending is already close to the £300 million mark, and it could increase to more than £450 million if Isak and Guehi are both signed. Outgoings are therefore required before Monday's 7 p.m. deadline, and one appears to be imminent. Here's a roundup of the latest transfer news from Anfield. Liverpool aren't prepared to pay anywhere near £130 million for Alexander Isak, it's claimed. The Reds already smashed the British transfer record earlier this summer with the signing of Florian Wirtz for an eye-watering £116 million, less than Newcastle would demand for Isak. However, TalkSport report that Liverpool don't intend to pay anywhere near £130 million for the Swedish striker. Isak, meanwhile, remains confident that the two clubs will reach an agreement. How much should Liverpool pay for Alexander Isak? Have your say in the comments section. Liverpool's pursuit, Marc Guehi, is being driven by the fear that Ibrahima Konaté has had his head turned by Real Madrid. Mirror Football understands. Konaté's deal with the Reds expires in June 2026, and he could follow in Trent Alexander-Arnold's footsteps by moving to Madrid on a free transfer. Guehi, 25, is Liverpool's top centre-back target, and a £35 million fee has been mooted. Crystal Palace want 2 signings before sanctioning his departure, though, which could see this one go right until the deadline on Monday. Kostas Tsimikas landed in Italy on Saturday to have a medical ahead of his season-long loan move to Roma. Having signed Bournemouth's Milos Kerkez for £40 million, 29-year-old Tsimikas dropped to third in the left-back pecking order at Anfield. The Greek defender's move is a straight loan with no option to buy. Tsimikas has 2 years left on his contract with Liverpool. Alexander Isak is not Liverpool's only major transfer in the works ahead of Monday's deadline. Incomings and outgoings are still on the agenda for the Reds, even at this late stage of the summer window. There is still a lot of uncertainty whether the striker will complete a lucrative move from Newcastle United, but the same might be said of Marc Guehi, who the Reds have been in talks for this month. There is possibility of signing the defender now, otherwise Crystal Palace face the prospect of their captain leaving for free at the end of the season. Arne Slot also needs space in his squad if he is going to add 2 more signings to Liverpool's 8 arrivals already this summer. Andy Roma look to have beaten Nottingham Forest and Leeds United in the race for Kostas Tsimikas. The Athletic's David Ornstein made an appearance on TNT Sports ahead of Chelsea vs Fulham at Stamford Bridge. The reporter was asked for the latest on Guehi's potential transfer to Liverpool. "My information is it's a critical 24 hours for the Marc Guehi situation," Ornstein responded. "Liverpool are interested. They've held some talks with Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have a big decision to make. Do they sell now or risk losing him for free next summer? But then they would get the sporting benefit for the year. It'll probably depend on what players they can get in over the next couple of days. I think from Marc Guehi's perspective, if the clubs reach an agreement, he will go." Kostas Tsimikas appears to be on his way to sign for AS Roma. As the Echo reported on Friday, the Italian side were edging nearer to a loan agreement with Liverpool, who had hoped to sell the fullback. Now Fabrizio Romano has published a picture of Tsimikas said to be on a private jet headed for Rome so that he can complete a medical. The 29-year-old will spend the season in Serie A without an option or obligation to make the move permanent. He had not featured in Slot's squad so far this season, as new signing Milos Kerkez has started all 3 matches, with vice-captain Andy Robertson providing cover. Alan Shearer has praised Hugo Ekitike's explosive beginning at Liverpool, but the Premier League legend believes the reigning champions still require a centre-back to boost their prospects of defending the title. Ekitike, who has netted 3 goals in 3 appearances since arriving at Liverpool for an initial 69 millet, is looking to overshadow Viktor Gyökeres against Arsenal at Anfield today, Sunday, August 31, in the clash of recently signed forwards. Shearer, the Premier League's all-time leading goalscorer, has been impressed by Ekitike, who could yet be joined on Merseyside by want-away Newcastle United star Alexander Isak. But the Newcastle and Blackburn Rovers legend believes the Reds need to push through a deal for Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi ahead of Monday's transfer deadline. Betfair ambassador Shearer commented, "Ekitike has made a wonderful start, certainly better than even he would have imagined. He's got 3 and 3. I've been really impressed with him, but it remains to be seen how regular he will play if they get the player they want in Alexander Isak. They might shift him to another position, but you can't argue with his record to date. Liverpool need another centre half. Marc Guehi springs to mind, but because of departures and also tragic circumstances, they need another forward as well. From a selfish point of view, that wouldn't be Isak, but I understand why they're looking at him because he's good. If they land Guehi and Isak, I guess it might be over for everyone. Shearer I also full of admiration for Arsenal's new boy Gyökeres, after his 2-goal performance in the 5-0 thrashing of Leeds United, even though he faces a different challenge this afternoon against Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konaté, and the former England captain insists the Gunners must utilize the robust Swede's strengths to maximize his potential, especially in the absence of the injured Bukayo Saka, reports the Mirror. Shearer added, Gyökeres will have found it frustrating in the first match against Manchester United. He will have felt a hell of a lot better after scoring 2 against Leeds. There's still work to do in terms of getting him used to Arsenal's system and what he wants and needs. If you're going to pay that amount of money for a striker, you're going to have to play to his strengths. Sometimes pass won't benefit him, but you can't take away what Saka is good at, or Ibrahima Konaté, so you need to find the balance. Shearer knows all about hype after making a splash as a young player at Southampton. When he scored a hat-trick against Arsenal in April 1988 at 17 years and 240 days, he became the youngest ever player to score a first-division treble, breaking the great Jimmy Greaves' long-standing 30-year record. The 55-year-old believes it's challenging to restrain Liverpool's Rio Ngumoha, who scored a stunning injury-time winner against Newcastle on Monday, and Arsenal's Max Baumann, given their proven ability to shine at the top level. Shearer said Rio's finish the other night was the finish of a 28-year-old in his prime. Given the circumstances, given they lost a 2-goal lead, and the importance of the finish, it looked so natural. That was the big positive. There has obviously been some talk about him and Max Baumann for a while now, but it's difficult to hold that talent back when you have that much ability. Starting games on a regular basis is very different. I guess that won't happen for a while, but being around the first team, coming on and playing your part is very difficult to stop because of their talent. Once you get a taste for it, Baumann won a penalty, Rio got the goal, they will want it all the time, because of their incredible talent. Pressure is going to be there. The club will try and protect them, but the people they have around them will determine if they're still around in 10 or 15 years' time.